What if the thing you're most afraid of is your biggest opportunity? The voice telling you you can't do this is keeping you small. It's preventing you from becoming the person that you're meant to become. I'm Rob Ralph, and 6 months ago, I was terrified to start this channel. Hell, I'm still terrified to this day. Terrified of judgment, failing, of putting myself out there because I discovered something. Fear was not my enemy. Fear was my guiding GPS, pointing me towards my next level of growth, new feats that I wanted to accomplish, and led me to some new heights. And today I want to show you how busy parents, leaders, executives, CEOs, or just a busy person in general can use fear as a secret weapon to unlock parts of yourself you never knew existed. So let's be honest. You're probably already successful in some sort of way if you are listening to this as a future entrepreneur, or maybe you're just already a successful person climbing that corporate ladder. You've maybe built some businesses, you've maybe raised some families, but something is gnawing at you, isn't it? There's a voice whispering about that book that you want to write, business that you want to start, the difficult conversation that you need to have that you've just been putting off. And you know what? I know, because I've been there. As a busy professional, as a parent of 3 young ones, and as an aspiring entrepreneur, I know exactly how this feels, and I'm totally convinced myself that I did not have the time. Heck, I even still feel sometimes that I do not have the time. Truth was, I wasn't too busy. I was too scared. I mean, I think fear disguises itself for high achievers in different ways. You might be thinking of the same sort of things that maybe went through your head. I don't have time for that right now. Maybe when things slow down, maybe someday. What will people think? That's a big one that hindered me. I'm too old to start something new. I'm way past that point. But here's the breakthrough. Every single thing you're afraid of is an unexplored potential. Your fears are literally a treasure map to your untapped greatness. Neuroscientists discovered something fascinating. Fear and excitement trigger nearly identical responses. Same heart rate, same awareness, same energy source. Only difference? The story we tell ourselves. The flutter in your stomach before you do something scary, we know we've all felt that in different sort of situations. Your nervous system preparing you for peak performance, flooding you with chemicals to make you sharper and more focused. For busy leaders like you, here's what's interesting. Skills that got you here: strategic thinking, problem solving, resilience, teamwork, facing your fears in other sort of ways. These aren't separate from facing your fears. They're the exact same ones, just in a different arena. Think about it. Every promotion, every deal, every difficult decision, you felt fear before on each one of those. But you did it anyway. And what happened? You grew. Difference between successful people and everybody else, not that successful people don't feel fear. They absolutely do. They interpret fear as information and not instruction. So let me give you a couple of real-world examples. Let me start you with a small example. Sarah, a VP at Fortune 500 company, terrified of public speaking, avoided presentations for years, sent colleagues to conferences, but at 45 decided to face this fear. Tried to do something and just start small. Started just to speak up in some meetings. Started just with some small growth. A little over a year later, does really well in her public speaking. But here's the real growth. She's a more confident leader because of this. More persuasive negotiator. Opened doors that she never knew existed for herself. Example 2, maybe this is you. A busy parent who wrote a book. Michael, a father of 3, story burning inside for a decade for him wanting to write a book, but no time, too tired. Who am I to write a book, right? And what to say that it was easy? Absolutely not. It will always be very, very difficult. But decided to start very small, decided to take action, and that action led to confidence. And only started to write 30 minutes before the kids woke up. So just taking those small sort of steps for him just built more and more confidence as he took that action. Within a year, he was able to publish a book. So he discovered discipline, creativity, and showed his kids what pursuing a dream really looks like. Example 3, a CEO who learned to paint, always left brain, dismissed creativity, did not think that she had it in her. And at 52, signed up for a painting class, terrified of looking foolish, terrified of anybody looking at her work. But again, started small, went to these painting classes, and over time, as you well know, she started to build up some confidence, and slowly but surely, her fear went away. So her fear of creative expression led to discovery, not just artistic ability. Team noticed more flexibility and some more innovative thinking. So do you recognize that pattern? Facing the fear to unlock capabilities in every area. Fear isn't just about one specific thing. It's about expanding your entire capacity as a human being. Let me give you some practical frameworks for this, because I always love things that can be drilled down into practical things that can help us. So fear, starting with F, find that fear. Get specific. What exactly are you afraid of? Not just a surface level excuse, the real fear underneath it. Write it down, name it. Fear of judgment, failure, success, looking foolish, you're too old, it doesn't matter, you don't have the time, but still it burns inside of you. Find that fear. For me, I was afraid of looking foolish. I was afraid of people judging me online. I was kind of afraid of success. I'm afraid of putting this out there for people to see. So the next one, E, we're going to go down for fear. So F-E-A-R, examine that evidence. What evidence that this fear is protecting versus limiting you? Often fears made sense before, but outlived usefulness. Ask, what would I attempt if I knew I couldn't fail? If you were completely fearless, what would you attempt if you couldn't fail? Think about that. A, act in small steps. Like we just alluded to in some of the stories for here too, you don't have to quit your job and move to Bali and do some heroic stuff. I don't think you would find that same sort of sentiment anywhere else on the internet. This doesn't have to be anything drastic. Just like the father who wrote the book, you could start with 30 minutes. For me, I know that even putting this out, I need to do this very, very early in the morning before my kids are awake, or very, very late at night. So sometimes it just comes down to a time management type of thing. Are you afraid of starting a business? Spend 30 minutes researching it this weekend. Are you afraid of public speaking? Speak up in your next meeting, even if that's just a question or two. If you know that you have positive intention, you could do almost anything you want in the world. R, reflect and repeat. So after each small action, pause and notice. So what happened? What did you learn about yourself? What capabilities did you discover? How did you feel? Did you go into it needing to do it a few times for rehearsal, for practice and repetition? And then each and every time, take smaller to bigger steps. So start where you are with what you have. Don't make this any more complicated than it needs to be. So let me get vulnerable for a moment. You've heard it, but like I've said, starting this channel has terrified me. It really has. I'm very, very busy. I have my own career and I've moved up the corporate ladder because of this. I probably recorded this thing 4 or 5 times before I knew I even wanted to put it out. But, to get honest with you, there is no better time to plant the seed for the oak tree than today. The last best time, obviously, was 100 years ago, but today is that next best time. I believe that all of you listening to this, wanting to keep going through this and taking those small steps, I'm here for that. I would love to hear it too. So in the comments below, let me know, what are your biggest fears? What are you most afraid of when it comes to YouTube, entrepreneur, maybe just life in general. I would love to build a community around this. So here's what I want you to do in the next 48 hours. Identify one fear that's been holding you back. Something you've been saying someday for too long. Take one small action towards it. Share it with somebody. Have accountability. That can transform intention into reality. Maybe that's your wife. Maybe that's your best friend. Maybe it's a colleague. Maybe it's somebody else. And then document your experience. Write down what you learned about it. How did you feel coming out of it? How nervous were you? Note that time, because I guarantee you by the 50th time you do that same sort of thing, but in a different sort of fashion, you'll have gained a ton of confidence. Remember, this is really important. You're not conquering this fear completely within the next 48 hours, a week, a year, but you're proving something bigger than the stories you tell yourself. Fear isn't the opposite of growth. It's the pathway to it. Every successful person you admire felt these same fears, but had the courage to do something about it. They decided that growth was more important than comfort. And let me tell you, it will be uncomfortable. You didn't get here by playing it safe. You've made decisions, you've had calculated risks, you've grew through challenges. This is just another iteration of that same courage. Your fears are protecting you from danger. They're protecting you from becoming who you are meant to be. But you're ready to be that person. You've been ready. Question is whether you're capable of growth. You've proven that 1,000 times over. Question is, what will you do with this one precious life? I'll see you on this next video on Tuesday. Another video about turning obstacles into opportunities. Until then, feel the fear, but grow anyway. And let me know what you thought of this in the comments below. Have a hell of a rest of your week. Take care.